We hope you didn't look up today unless you had your eclipse glasses on. We'll show you how the solar eclipse looked across the country.
And did you look up on Thursday night to see a helicopter patrolling University Avenue? We'll show you what happened.
20 university students find themselves on the wrong side of the law. Stay tuned as we hear directly from one of them about what led to the arrests.
Annenberg TV News is next.
People in all 48 states in the continental United States had a chance to see at least a partial eclipse, with millions in the path of totality. The number was estimated to be 32 million people where the path of totality was seen in 13 states. Hi, I'm Vincent Amonte.
And I'm Sophie Sullivan. Let's take a look at some of the places the eclipse was seen. The total solar eclipse journey began in Coahuila, Mexico. The city of Mazatlan went dark as the eclipse cast a shadow over the city. Moving northeast, the eclipse made its way to Dallas, where total darkness lasted for about 4 minutes. Niagara Falls in New York State was one of the last cities in America to experience the eclipse with about 3 minutes of totality. The path of totality in the U.S. began in Dallas, Texas, and crossed over Indianapolis, then over to Cleveland, Ohio, Buffalo, New York, and Burlington, Vermont. While millions of Americans experienced the total eclipse, many USC students watched a partial eclipse around 11 a.m. today. USC physics and astronomy professor Vanhi Perumian posted a watch party for the partial eclipse today in front of Tommy Trojan. Dozens of eclipse glasses were distributed to students to safely watch the astronomical event.
There should be more and more events that have to do with, let's say, science-related stuff.
I've been chasing eclipse since I was 12 years old. When I was back in Brunei, you have a bit of the annular solar eclipse, about 30 to 40% what we see today.
My brother and I, last time we watched it together, so it kind of reminds me of when I was in summer camp with him.
Now over to Avi to learn a little bit more about solar eclipses.
I recognized pretty quickly that I'm not going to be able to travel to see the actual total eclipse, so I decided what the next best thing would be to do something for students on campus. I think it's important for students to connect to astronomical events, to realize something special is going on, and to be able to, experience a once-in-a-lifetime event.
Sorry guys, I didn't see you there. I was looking up at the sun. There are total eclipses, partial eclipses, and annular solar eclipses. The moon completely covers the sun during a total solar eclipse. During a partial one, the moon only covers a portion of the sun, and during an annular eclipse, the moon, far from the Earth, completely covers the sun, which results in a ring of sunlight around the moon's silhouette. The last solar eclipse charted over the United States in 2017, and the next will be in 2044.
And when Kamala and I ran, we made a commitment to fix our broken student loan system. Because while college degree still is a ticket to the middle class, that ticket's becoming much too expensive, much too expensive.
Today, President Joe Biden announced his, quote, Plan B for relieving student loan debt for over 30 million Americans. The plan, if adopted, would clear student debt for millions of Americans and partially for others. The plan would cancel up to $20,000 for borrowers whose balances have grown as a result of unpaid interest. As of today, the Biden administration has already approved $146 million of debt relief for 4 million Americans. But students have mixed reactions.
I think it's a good idea. I want people, education is super important, and I think it can, encourage more people to go to school.
If he forgives a lot of debt to those people that took out loans, then it's basically getting a scholarship without really putting in that effort. So it kind of devalues the work of those that actually get scholarships.
The plan is likely to encounter obstacles as congressional Republicans promise to challenge the president's proposal.
LAPD, we know you're inside hiding. Come out with your hands up.
Students remain concerned about the LAPD and DPS's response to an alleged burglary and trespasser last Thursday evening at 720 West 30th Street. Negotiations lasted from around 6:30 p.m. until past midnight. A spokesperson for the LAPD told Annenberg Media that officers decided to, quote, tactically disengage, leaving the suspect on the roof of a building. The police allowed the suspect to stay on the property overnight and arrested him the next morning.
Cops actually left, and DPS actually left and left the guy inside the house. And to me, that was the only point really where I started to feel kind of worried about the situation. I didn't really understand why they would leave when the suspect was still inside the house.
DPS Assistant Chief David Carlisle says his department received the original call the day before but turned the investigation over to the LAPD. The burglary remains under investigation.
Have you noticed any watermelons on campus? It may seem like a prank, but the colors have a much deeper meaning. Today, a broken watermelon and small watermelon charms were placed below USC's Tommy Trojan statue. The watermelon has become a symbol of Palestine as the war in Gaza continues. Students had this to say about the installation.
I think that it's definitely beautiful, and I like the sculpture, and it's a cool placement of it. So, still trying to understand it all.
I think it's interesting. I think that is, I don't know, interesting. I think it's kind of clever.
Definitely figuring out a way to express yourself, even, if you have to kind of slide in this gray area of the rules, makes sense.
Annenberg Media has not been able to confirm the individual or group responsible for the installation.
Last Friday, students in support of Palestine at Pomona College held a sit-in protest in the president of the college's office. The group was met with 30 riot-geared police officers, and the protesters were arrested for trespassing.
But we were not surprised that the school chose to militarize the campus in that way. I would say, seeing these 30-plus cops come in riot gear is not something that it felt extremely violating, and we were scared. I was scared for my comrades, my black, brown, trans, and low-income friends who were inside.
In a statement from Pomona College, the administration says, quote, "We uphold the right to free speech and to protest within the lines of our long-established Claremont College's demonstration policy. We will not permit the presence of masked, unidentified individuals on our campus refusing to show identification when asked." Most involved students have been suspended or banned from the university. The community outcry has been loud, with many pressuring the university to reverse the decision.
Records were broken in more ways than one this March Madness. We'll have more on how the women's tournament took the nation by storm.
Today marks the 50th anniversary of a record-breaking day in baseball. We hear from a USC professor who had a chance to interview the legendary outfielder.
And find out how you can get involved on campus and celebrate Earth Month.
Let me tell you how we amplify our Latine voices. Check out Dímelo. We have it all. Deportes.
Entertainment. Noticias. ¿Qué tal? Soy Mariela Gómez y bienvenidos a Dímelo Ahora.
Radio and podcasting.
Comida y cultura. Digital social media.
¿A qué equipo le vas tú? LA Galaxy o LAFC? Dímelo is the only Latina-focused media outlet at USC. Dímelo. We have it all.
Dímelo. We have it all.
Mr. Owl, how many licks does it take to get to the Tootsie Roll center of a Tootsie Pop?
Let's find out. 1, 2, 3.
How many licks does it take to get to the center of a Tootsie Pop? The world may never know.
There's a new pet.
Chia.
Chia Pet, the pottery that grows. It's fun and easy. Soak your chia, spread the seeds, keep it watered, and watch it grow. And now grow a whole collection of fun with Chia teddy bears, puppies, kittens, rams, bulls. There's even a chia tree to keep your pets company. Chia Pets and Trees, the pottery that grows.
The Chia Pet and Chia Tree are available at Kmart, Rite Aid, Ames, and Woolworth. Makes a great gift.
There's just no denying that the women of college basketball dominated March Madness this spring. With 1 week until the WNBA draft, the question remains, will the hype last? Names like Clark, Reese, Beckers, and Watkins are now household names and chart-topping matchups. Last Friday's Final Four game between Iowa and UConn was the most-watched ESPN basketball broadcast ever. Experts say that energy could be here to stay.
We need to continue to generate these storylines around the women's game. And if these women can stay, and the teams can stay, and you can build tension, you can build stakes, you can build rivalries, people build off that. That's, it's like a story. You want to tune in to see what happens. TV networks and streaming companies, they see there's an appetite for it and they need to support that appetite. We have a momentum swing and we need to capitalize on the momentum swing so that we can build off of it.
The energy, I don't even know if you could put it into words. Our team, but really a lot of women's basketball teams have really paved the way to kind of changing that. And you're seeing that in the media, you're seeing that with the people that are watching, specifically like the March Madness tournaments, you're seeing that in just how people are showing up to these games and these events that are specifically for women's sports. Yeah.
Keely Roy has been in the world of women's sports almost as long as she could kick. After 4 years at Berkeley, Roy played for the USC women's soccer team. Keely, thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited to be here and talk about women's sports.
Well, I want to ask you, even just 2 seasons ago, names like Mackenzie Forbes, Caitlin Davis were not known across campus, and now students want to see where they go next. What does that say to you about the future of female athletes?
I think it's amazing. I think the moment that we're living in right now is a monumental one for women's sports, and basketball has been a huge part of that change and has really brought a lot of momentum to a lot of sports, just in the way that fans have become so invested in the game. And I think that's what women's sports has been waiting on, is for fans to want to continue to watch these players post-college. And like you said, people are watching them in college, cheering them on here, and then now being like, okay, I can't wait to watch them get drafted, watch the draft, watch them play in the WNBA. And like you said, some great stars right here in our home court with USC. With Caleb Dilla, with Forbes, Caitlin, there's so many great players right here, and I think it'll be exciting to see, hopefully they land on some teams, and we continue to watch them. I'm especially excited to watch Forbes. She's been so dangerous from behind the arc and just such a leader on and off the court. So that's who I'll be looking out for on draft day and sending her the best of luck.
Well, I really want to ask you, being a female athlete here on USC's campus, do you feel like women's sports really have been embraced by the community?
I do, and I think women's basketball has been a huge part of that. I think previously, you do tend to see people coming out more for men's games than women's games, but with the season these women had and the way they came out so hot with those wins against those Big Ten teams in the beginning of the season, people saw the spark right away, and you could see in the attendance, season tickets were selling out, and they predict next season they may sell out earlier than ever. And then especially in the playoff push, the best way I can describe it is I was at a local restaurant watching the game myself, and there was so many students there, and you could tell it was like students that maybe don't even come out to watch basketball, but they're like, I'm here because I want to support these women. And so just seeing that really shows you how the community is they're taking time on their Friday, Saturday to go out and watch these women. So it's just amazing, really.
All right, well, thank you so much for your insight, Keely. I appreciate it. Next week, Trojan Hoopers Caitlin Davis and Mackenzie Forbes will hear where they're going to play for the next few years of their career. They'll join athletes across the country in the tide changing women's basketball.
Today is the 50th anniversary of Hank Aaron breaking the baseball home run record. Aaron hit his 715th home run in 1974 and held that record for over 33 years.
1 ball and no strikes. Aaron waiting, the outfield deep and straight away. Fastball is a high drive into deep left center field. Buckner goes back to the fence. It is gone.
Hank Aaron, nicknamed Hammerin' Hank, is widely considered one of the greatest baseball players of all time. He still holds MLB's record for runs batted in, extra bases hit, and total bases. However, Aaron faced extreme racism leading up to and long after his accomplishments in the 1970s. With a batting average of .305, Aaron's accomplishments include over 700 home runs, placing him second of all time. A USC professor wrote a book about how Aaron was able to break long-standing barriers. We talked to journalist and author Sandy Tolan, who wrote about race and sports in his book, Me and Hank.
Baseball was synonymous with society and civil rights. The record that he broke 50 years ago today, that he shattered, was a testament not only to his prowess as an athlete, but his courage as a human being. Baseball was so central to the experience of race in America, the experience of it being, at the time, it was called the national pastime. And these days, I think it's less central.
As we honor Hank Aaron's achievements, it is important to remember his enduring legacy as both a great baseball player and civil rights activist.
The start of April means the start of Earth Month. Let's go live to Malcolm Caminero, who's at the USC Peace Garden right now.
Thanks, Sophie. The start of April does mean Earth Month. I'm standing inside the USC Peace Garden, just a few blocks off campus, where behind me you can see beautiful trees and flowers and plants, all done by students and volunteers. The USC Peace Garden is located 2 blocks north from USC's main campus. What used to be an empty lot is now a bustling yard, home to many plants that students can take home for decoration. The selections include succulents like jade and aloe.
So finding somewhere on campus and in LA really, which is like a concrete jungle obviously, that I can connect to nature and then share that love for sustainability with other people, it means a lot to me. We're working with a lot of native plants right now. We recently got a big batch of like native Californian plants, so plants that are drought resistant that'll survive climate change. So we've been working a lot on caring for those, planting those, stuff like that.
The Peace Garden will host Bring Your Own Lunch events every Wednesday this month. Earth lovers will have the chance to paint in the yard on Tuesday. This Sunday will be the giving away of seeds and plants to decorate your home. And finally, the garden will celebrate Earth Day on the 22nd with snacks, tours, and some lively music. Now, if you're looking to get involved on campus, I can promise you this, you could come by to volunteer at the USC Peace Garden, and if you're looking to join the actual community, they accept applicants in the fall. And if you excuse me, I'm gonna go out and decorate my apartment. For Annenberg Media, I'm Malcolm Caminero, but I don't know if this plant needs some water, but I know Avi does. Avi, how's the weather looking like out there?
Well, happy Monday, Los Angeles. I'm sure you're all glad to hear that our weather cannot get better this week. So let's get right into it. If we take a look at today's current conditions, we can see a beautiful 72 degrees and a clear sunny sky. And now let's take a look at what this week has in store for us. For the next few days, we're seeing no rain, and we will be hitting that low 80s range. There will be a slight dip in temperature on Friday and a slight chance of rain on Saturday. Otherwise, we are looking at an impressively sunny and clear week. Will, what do you have for us with sports?
Thanks, Avi. Next on ATVN Sports, we'll preview tonight's men's college basketball national title game between UConn and Purdue. We'll recap South Carolina women's basketball finishing off its undefeated season with a national title on Sunday. And finally, we'll explain the crazy coaching carousel in college basketball, which involves USC square in the middle of it.
Bonjour, je suis le grand musée.
Je suis la jeune fille.
Yes, that's French they're speaking. And no, these children aren't French. They're American. And they've acquired their amazing new language skills from Muzzy, the remarkable new video language program for children developed by the British Broadcasting Corporation. With this unique BBC language course, children learn a second language with incredible ease. 4 delightful videos quickly become their favorite TV show and teaches children the same way they learned English. Learning another language becomes fun. You'll be amazed when your children begin speaking and understanding their new language from the very first day through this unique method. The entire course, 4 videos, 2 audio cassettes, the activity book, and the parent's guide and answer book is available in French, Spanish, Italian, or German.
To order, use your credit card and call this number. We'll ship and charge you $28.08 a month for 6 months. Your satisfaction is guaranteed. Call 1-800-424-0700.
Okay, this stuff is really amazing. I mean, I put it in my mouth and I taste watermelon, but it's not just that. I taste strawberry too, but it's kind of like a watermelony strawberry put together. Hey, hang on. Sorry about that. And the bubbles are really awesome. I mean, that's why they call it Max, I guess. Obviously, that sort of makes sense once you think about it. Oh, I'm Dan, and that's Chuck. Hubba Max. A whole new kind of bubble. Hey!
When young people lock in and have a belief and have a trust, and their parents have that same trust, this is what can happen. They made history.
Made history. They did, Dawn Staley. The game clocks closed out the season 38-0. Welcome back to ATVN Sports. I'm Will Simons.
And I'm Nolan Ezett. Now, before we get to tonight's game on the men's side, let's first recap what happened in the finale of the women's tournament. South Carolina and Iowa, a rematch of last year's Final Four. Tessa Johnson stepped up off the bench with 19 points and led the Gamecocks on their revenge tour. South Carolina was great all around, shooting 48% from the field and 42% from three. Now, this caps off an undefeated season for the Gamecocks. But on the flip side, all-time leading scorer Caitlin Clark will finish her college career without a ring. Now, she did put forth a valiant effort, however, with 30 points.
Now we're just minutes away from tip-off in Phoenix for the men's championship game, where defending champs UConn will take on a Purdue team looking for revenge from last year's embarrassing first-round loss. Nolan and I now have our keys for tonight's game. So first, I'm watching out for what happens down low. This is just the second title game ever between two 7-footers. Purdue's Zach Edey and UConn's Donovan Clingan are two giants in the paint that cause issues for any team, but maybe not each other. While most opponents have to double team these bigs, I want to see if Edey or Clingan can shut down the other defensively one-on-one.
Now, this, in my opinion, is UConn's game to lose. My key, doing what they've done all season, sharing the love. All 5 starters for the Huskies average double-digit points. Their leading scorer, Tristan Newton, averages just under 15 a game. But in his 2 top-scoring performances with 30 and 27 points, UConn lost. And they only lost one other game all season. So they need to play to their strengths and share the ball. Now, Will, these both are, very valid points, but ultimately, one team's got to win. What's your prediction?
So I'm going with a little bit more of a storyline. I'm going with Purdue. Remember the last time a 1 seed lost to a 16 seed is Virginia, losing to UMBC. The next year they won the national title. Last year I talked about it. Their embarrassing first round loss for Purdue, losing to Fairleigh Dickinson. I'm going with the same thing. I think Purdue completes sort of that fairy tale revenge story tonight, takes down UConn.
I think UConn's the best team in college basketball. I think they were last season. I think they got a lot of those same players this year. I'm going UConn over Purdue.
Totally fair. Anyways, on Friday, USC men's basketball formally introduced its new head coach, Eric Musselman. Here's what Musselman had to say during his opening press conference at Galen Center.
We are more than excited as a family for this opportunity. We really are, and we think that the potential here is through the roof.
Former Trojan head coach Andy Enfield's departure for SMU last week seems to have kicked off a crazy chain reaction around the sport. After USC then poached Musselman from Arkansas, the Razorbacks made a splash by recruiting Kentucky coach John Calipari to move across the SEC. Calipari's exit from Kentucky leaves a major hole at one of the top blue blood programs in the sport. That means this coaching carousel is far from over and could lead to some major shifts in college basketball. Finally, let's close things out by rounding up some major results from USC this past weekend. Starting on the diamond, USC baseball picked up its first 3-game sweep of the season over Washington. The Trojans, who are now winners of 7 of their last 8, seem to be finally turning their season around, with their record back to just a game under 500.
USC women's lacrosse killed Oregon on Saturday 19-8. Ella Heaney led the Trojans with a, drumroll please, 5 goals in 1 game. USC is now ranked 20th in the nation.
Next, USC freshman golfer Bailey Shoemaker came in second at the Augusta National Women's Amateur, shooting a final round record 66 Saturday to finish just a shot back of the winner.
USC men's volleyball split their matches against number 6 BYU. The Trojans lost 3-1 on Friday, but then bounced back on Saturday with a 3-2 victory on senior night. Now, that's a lot of amazing performances from our Trojans, but Will, I want to ask you, what do you think is the most impressive?
I think it was really cool seeing what Bailey Shoemaker did at Augusta National, which is one of the most iconic golf courses ever. Getting second place there, final round 66, 6 under, that's so impressive in that kind of stage. I really liked seeing what she did.
Absolutely. But what I like to see from my Trojans is seeing teams that might be struggling and then finally picking it back up midway through the season. That baseball team, exactly what they did. As you said, they swept Washington. Loved to see that victory from the Trojans.
Anyways, that's all we have time for today on ATVN Sports. I'm Will Simons.
And I'm Nolan Ezett. Now let's go hear about designer at USC with a lot of talent.
This week's Trojan Spotlight is a USC student who has his own menswear label with suits priced at 15,000 euros. Trojan Spotlight next.
Let me tell you how we amplify our Latina voices. Check out Dímelo. We have it all.
Deportes.
Entertainment. Noticias. ¿Qué tal? Soy Mariela Gómez y bienvenidos a Dímelo Ahora.
Radio and podcasting.
Comida y cultura. Digital social media.
¿A qué equipo le vas tú? LA Galaxy o LAFC? Dímelo is the only Latina-focused media outlet at USC. Dímelo. We have it all.
Dímelo. We have it all.
Want quality name brand carpet for less?
Call Empire and you can get quality carpet at the lowest price guaranteed. And no payments for 1 year.
800-588-2300 Empire.
Today.
I've replaced your shoelaces with fruit by the foot.
So you did. I replaced your fingers with fruit by the foot.
Bravo. I've replaced your bones with fruit by the foot.
Indeed you have. I replaced your guitar strings with fruit by the foot.
Seems like a step backwards, but alright. I've replaced your DNA with fruit by the foot. That would be end game, my friend.
Fruit by the foot. Fruit-flavored snack.
This week's Student Spotlight is definitely someone who always dresses to impress. Jaron Savage, born and raised in Compton, is a spectacle of fashion on USC's campus.
As a matter of fact, that's like a part of the philosophy of the suits is like, why should we have to wear boring stuff?
Jaron has created around 1,000 designs for his suits and prides himself on his luxury brand. What's it called? Jaron Savage. And how much for one of his colorful suits? They start at 15,000 euros, or nearly 16,000 US dollars.
I pride myself on having the most luxurious fabric that I can put my hands on. So right now I'm really in love with silk. I think silk is my favorite word. And I'm loving Italian silk. I've done several residencies in Italy, in Lake Como, in Milan.
His love for design blossomed while attending high school in Italy. He says his designs come from everywhere. He is influenced by natural and man-made creations.
Do I wear the suits every day? And the answer is 99% yes. I wear them every single day. You know, people will always stare and look. And so sometimes I'll forget that I'm even wearing a suit and I'll be like, why are people like looking at me? And then I'll look down and I'm in some like bright orange or pink, you know, ensemble.
Jaron was featured in Wear magazine for an article titled Menswear Labels to Look Out For. You can find his designs on his website, jaronsavage.com. That's all for this week's Dapper Spotlight. Back to you.
Well, thank you so much, Issa, and thanks for watching Annenberg TV News. For everyone at Annenberg Media, I'm Vincent Monte.
And I'm Sophie Sullivan. For more coverage, watch and subscribe to our YouTube channel at youtube.com/Annenberg Media. Thank you and good night.